Welcome. Kia ora. Hello. Welcome to the Coastguard Northern Region AGM for 2020. My name is Wally Hawkin, Vice President of the region. In Graham's absence, I have the pleasure in chairing this evening's meeting. Thank you for tuning in for what is certainly a first in the live streaming of our AGM. Whilst disappointing that due to the circumstances of the alert level restrictions, we are not able to hold the meeting face to face. Thank you for coming together to pay tribute to an incredible legacy, reflect on the year that's been, and celebrate the remarkable efforts of our volunteers through the Regional Awards of Excellence. I'd like to welcome our Honorary Life members and volunteers and acknowledge the presence of Mike Purchase, who's on video link, CNZ President, and Callum Gillespie, CEO of Coastguard New Zealand. I'd like to acknowledge our funders, sponsors, search and rescue partners, and key stakeholders, all who play such an important role in supporting us to continue saving lives at sea. We just cannot do without you. Please join me and take a moment of reflection for members and friends who have passed. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Georgie Smith, Acting Chief Executive of the region, and Liz Norkay as Minute Secretary. I introduce my fellow board members, Ron Luca, Roy Savage, Neil Bradley, Marcus Blosh, Brian Wimp, and Jim Livet, who are tuning in from home this evening. Additional board members, Bennett, Madeira, and Evelyn Davis will be presenting this evening and are with us here at the AMRC. Georgie will now take us through the plan for the evening before we kick into the formalities.
Thank you, Wally. Well, here we are in crazy times and circumstances that are needing us to be agile more than ever before. I do not know about you, but if you'd said to me 12 months ago that instead of being here face to face at the AMRC, that I'd be talking to a screen and you, our volunteers and members, would be at home enjoying this from the comfort of your lounge, I don't know that I'd have believed you, but here we are. So a big thanks to being here for tonight, but also for your patience. The team here have done an absolutely amazing job of making this a possibility and for the viewer experience to be the very best that it can. But please bear with us, as this is very much our first rodeo. You may have already read the instructions regarding commenting or voting that was sent out with the registration, but I just want to briefly touch on the different ways in which you can engage in this meeting tonight. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a raise your hand icon looking something like this, and a question and answer icon also. At specific times during the meeting, you'll be invited to comment on aspects of the reports. If you'd like to do so, please simply write your comment into the question and answer field. The same goes for general comments during the meeting, or if you have any items for general business, you can send these through via the question and answer field, and these will be addressed later in the meeting. If you would like to second or move a motion when asked during the meeting, please simply click on raise your hand. The icon will turn blue and it will be visible to the team here. The same goes for and against. We do have backup plans in place, every good event does, but if you experience your screen freezing, please just leave the meeting and then re-enter it using the original link provided. Should this wonderful platform called Zoom fail, you will receive in the inbox of the email address that you registered with a YouTube link to continue to watch the meeting live. Should the need arise for us to evacuate the building, the meeting will stop and you will be directed to a holding page to await further instructions. I trust you have evacuation plans well in place at home. And if your name is Benji and you're 4 years old, now might be a good time to go to bed. Copies of both the AGM, SGM minutes, along with the performance and finance report can be found at coastguard.nz/reports. And it's worth noting that the meeting has been recorded and will be distributed to our volunteers in the following days, especially to share the excitement of the Regional Awards of Excellence. Enjoy.
Thank you, Georgie. We'll take apologies for the meeting. An apology from Graham Brown, our president, has been received. He could not be here tonight, but has recorded a video which will be played later in the evening. Apologies have also been received from Jack Out and Marcus Blosh. If you have apologies on behalf of anyone else, please type the name into the question box and this will be recorded. Maureen Colcom from Bay of Islands. Daniel Levitt, Kawal. David Head, Whangarei. Todd Forsyth. Laurie Cranfield. Thank you. I would like to move that the apologies be accepted. Could I please have a seconder by clicking the raise hand? Thank you, Lisa James. All in favour, please click raise hand. Thank you. Against, please click raise hand. Richard Yudi Waiuku and the balance of the crew currently on the boat. Live action as we speak. Well, thank you for the apologies. Motion carried. I now invite Bennett Madeira to read the minutes of the 2019 Cnr Agm and the March 2020 Cnr Special General Meeting.
Good evening to you all. It's my pleasure to read a summary of the Cnr Agm 2019 minutes of the meeting that was held here in the Auckland Marine Rescue Centre on the 17th of September last year. Now, the detailed version of the minutes was circulated with the notice of meeting and has been available on the Coastguard website. If any questions arise for you as I go through the summary and you'd like to raise a point, please do so via the question and answer panel, and we'll refer to that at the end of my reading of the summary. We began the meeting with the opening and welcome and apologies. Chairperson Graham Brown formally opened the meeting and welcomed those who were there. Graham also introduced the CNR board and the CEO, Callum Gillespie. Graham acknowledged other attendees, including our sponsors and partners and life members. Apologies were noted and accepted. Darren Arthur read the minutes of the 2018 meeting, and those minutes were passed as true and accurate. We then heard reports from the President Graham Brown and from the CEO, Callum, before we then had a summary of the financial report, which we adopted. We then moved on to election of officers and the judicial panel. There was only one nomination for president, and Graham Brown was elected to that role. There was also only one nomination for vice president, and Wally Hawkin was elected to that role. Evelyn Davis and Roy Savage were elected to the board. Neil Bradley, myself, and Ron Luca, as immediate past president, remained on the board. Guy Hornblow was thanked for his time on the CNR board. And Marcus Blosh, Brian Wimp, and Jim Levette were also appointed to the board on behalf of their respective OPSCOMs. Roy Lindstrom, John Macaulay, Brooke Archbold, and Stephen Fordyce were appointed to the Judicial panel to be chaired by Jodie Foster. In terms of subscriptions, the board recommended and the meeting agreed that annual membership should remain the same. The board recommended that RSM Hayes Audit continue as auditors, and the meeting supported that. Under general business, Kevin O'Sullivan stated that the AMRC Trust was committed to undertaking significant upgrade work on this building. And Mike Purchase, the CNZ board chair, spoke to the vision driving the Project Horizon opportunities. Graham Brown and Roy Savage then announced and presented the Regional Awards of Excellence to very worthy nominees and winners. And Ian Gibson received an honorary life membership for his outstanding dedication and leadership. That concluded the meeting, and Graham thanked everyone for attending and closed the meeting at 20:20 p.m. If there are no questions, would a financial member who was present at the 2019 Annual General Meeting like to formally move that the minutes as read be adopted as a true and correct record of that meeting by clicking on raise hand? And I have a raised hand from Kevin O'Sullivan. Thank you, Kevin. May I have a second? Graham Ogg. Thank you, Graham. All in favor of accepting the minutes, please click raise hand. Thank you very much. Anyone against accepting the minutes, please click raise hand. The motion is carried. Thank you. I'll now move on straight away to reading a summary of the CNR Special General Meeting that we had here outside of the Marine Rescue Centre on the 7th of March 2020, dealing with Project Horizon. Again, remember, if you'd like to make any points or raise any questions as a result of the minutes, please use the Q&A form. Again, Chairperson Graham Brown formally opened the meeting and welcomed those that were there, including the scrutineers, the legal advisor, and minute taker. Graham then confirmed that the requirements for a quorum had been satisfied, being a minimum of 25 voting members. And again, apologies were noted and accepted. It had been brought to the CNR's attention that some supporter members may not have received the notice of meeting in accordance with the Constitution. Graham advised that the Constitution does provide that any irregularity, error, or omission shall not prevent the meeting from continuing, provided that 3 conditions had been met. 3 conditions are: if it is minor and does not produce any material unfairness to members, if the chair considers it is appropriate for the meeting to proceed, and if a majority of votes at the meeting is obtained in favor of proceeding with that meeting. The chairman advised that he considered it was appropriate for the special general meeting to go ahead. Bob Rousel said paying subscriber members had not been sufficiently informed, so were unaware of the meeting and its significance. He felt notification was not constitutional and asked that his comments be recorded, which they duly were. A motion was put to the meeting for the meeting to proceed, and that motion was carried, and the meeting proceeded. With a discussion on Project Horizon, Graham Brown outlined the purpose of the SGM being to vote on the resolutions outlined in the notice of meeting. He provided a high-level summary of the objectives, expected benefits, and rationale for the project. He then invited any members to speak in relation to those 2 resolutions. A number of members asked questions and gave their views relating to Project Horizon, some being in support and others against. Key issues or risks raised included the removal of the democracy enjoyed by individual voting members of CNR, a question about ongoing funding being available from Auckland Council, a concern about how Project Horizon would help volunteers and whether that volunteer experience would really be enhanced, and whether units would have to give up their charity status to Coastguard New Zealand. Those in favour pointed out that the organisation had matured and was ready to overcome boundaries to make a better Coast Guard and save more lives at sea. Project Horizon would help to address some of the increased financial and administrative scrutiny that will result from the planned reforms incorporated in the Incorporated Societies Act, which would enable volunteers to focus on their primary mission of saving lives. A yes vote made good strategic and sustainable sense. Compliance is getting more onerous, and a national volunteer strategy from United Coast Guard would help to reduce this. And there's a need for an agile organization able to implement strategy at pace that fits the modern world. So we had a voting on resolutions. A motion was passed for the voting to be conducted by secret ballot. Votes were cast and the meeting adjourned for the votes to be counted. When the meeting reconvened, Graham Brown announced the results, stating that the total votes cast was 413. Resolution 1, which was to amend CNR's existing constitution by adopting the changes that had been set out, was passed with 334 votes for and 79 against. Resolution 2, which was to approve Project Horizon and authorize the board to do the necessary things to give effect to that project, was passed with 332 votes for and 81 against. Therefore, resolutions 1 and 2 were passed, both individually and together, as they were interdependent. Graham then thanked everyone for attending, and the meeting was closed. If there are no questions or issues to raise about the minutes themselves, then again, I'd ask a financial member who was present at the 2020 Special General Meeting formally move that the minutes as read be adopted as a true and correct record of that meeting by clicking on raise hand. John McCauley, thank you. Could I then have a seconder by someone clicking raise hand? Steve Clearwater, thank you very much. Now, all in favor, please click raise hand. And if there's anyone against adopting the minutes, can you please raise your hand? None at all. Thank you very much. The motion is carried, and I'll now hand back to Wally Hawkin.
Thank you, Bennett. The President's report has been circulated to all members through the performance report. We will now play the video that Graham has recorded.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Hello all. I'm truly sorry I cannot be with you in person in this final Cnr Agm, and what is an historic occasion. I will take my report as read and won't repeat it here in detail, but I would like to draw out a few observations. There is no doubt that all of us in the region has had an eventful and challenging year. For example, Project Horizon and the considerable effort and work everyone put in to make it a success. Volunteers and staff maintaining essential services during COVID-19. And volunteers experiencing an uncommon number of traumatic incidents that have tested your training, courage, and professionalism to the max. I'm extremely gratified and proud of the way all of you involved have overcome the adversities you've experienced to become a stronger and more resilient Coast Guard. It also makes me proud to be handing over such a strong and capable body of people that we call CNR. And it gives me great comfort that we will be part of a successful and vibrant Coast Guard of the future. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the role that Callum Gillespie has played in his last 5 years at the helm of CNR to make the Northern Region what it is today. To my board, thank you for your leadership and effective governance that enabled many of the projects and initiatives that have made the region as strong as it is today. It would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the outstanding commitment of Georgie Smith, who in her role as acting CEO has admirably met the challenges of the role and sustained the effective leadership and respect of the region. To our volunteer team, the changes you've all faced this year and the way you've handled them are, in my mind, a fitting tribute to the legacy of the region. I will be the last president of CNR, and as such, I will not have an active role in Coastguard in the future. I will remain a member of ACI as an honorary life member and always cherish the fantastic organisation and outstanding people I've had the privilege to work alongside in my 16 years with the organisation. Thank you for your time. I will now hand back to Wally.
Thank you, Graham. And Graham, thank you for your sterling effort in the role of president of this great organisation. I'll now formally move that the meeting receive the President's report for the year 30th of June 2020. Could I please have a seconder by raise hand? Graham Ogg, thank you. Could I please, we've got that. All in favour, please click raise hand. Against, please click raise hand. Motion is carried. I'd now like to ask Georgie Smith, Acting CEO, to address the meeting and cover the CEO report.
Thank you, Wally. Kia ora and welcome. It has without a doubt been an unprecedented year to mark the end of an era. This year, we pay tribute to an incredible legacy of lives saved, families reunited, volunteer dedication, what can be achieved through the beauty of great partnerships, and the story of a charity that has evolved and innovated to the benefit of the communities of whom we serve. As a team, we've achieved a great deal in the last 12 months, with focus on the continued investment in our strategy and in our people, and in the preparation of the organisation for the new era of Coastguard, which began on 1 July. I'd like to thank the board and Callum for their leadership and counsel as they took up the role of acting CEO in February. The vision of the board for the future of Coastguard through their support for Project Horizon and commitment to ensuring the best outcomes for our people is a tribute to them. Prior to the impact of COVID-19, which has been felt across the organisation, we were on track for the busiest year yet in our 16-year history, with 5,258 Kiwis brought home safely and hundreds of thousands more benefiting from the safety and information services and community public boating education that we provide. Our ability to adapt to changing circumstances is a key theme this year. What we learned from COVID-19 is that as a solid team with a core purpose, when you're united, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. And we did just that. Team, you know who you are. My sincere thanks. As we banded together as the team of 5 million, it's important to pay tribute to our staff in the Operations Centre who ensured our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency response continued. Through to our volunteers of Auckland Coastguard who gave up the safety of their bubbles to work alongside St John's to enable the medevac from the community of Waiheke Island when needed. Through to our education team who within a matter of days pivoted to deliver online volunteer training and support. Fortunately, with very few exceptions, boaties avoided on-water activity during the lockdown periods. This is incredibly apparent by our statistics of the trip reporting and incident stats. However, as soon as they could, boaties took to the water en masse. At the special general meeting on March 7, there was a clear mandate from our volunteers and members to deliver on the promise of Project Horizon. This mandate doesn't stop here with the region. It empowers Coastguard moving forward to play an essential role in providing support more than ever to our people on the front line. This year, we've continued investment into the Operations Centre, enhancing our people capability to ensure we're able to meet demand and future-proof this essential part of our search and rescue service. Further to this, we've seen the take-up of the Coastguard app exceed 23,000 downloads, making it free to ensure every boatie has access to this amazing safety tool. When we go back right to our roots, Coastguard is made up of groups of remarkable people and communities that once upon a time banded together, often as the result of local tragedy or with a common purpose, united in the desire to help make our waterways safer. As a region, it all kicked off in 2004 when the Auckland Volunteer Coastguard Service split into two arms. Auckland Coastguard Incorporated was formed to continue to deliver a high standard of operational response throughout the Hauraki Gulf, and so too came Coastguard Northern Region Incorporated to deliver administration, funding and operational support to units around the region. This same year, Auckland Coastguard welcomed its first purpose-built heavy rescue vessel into the Coastguard fleet to meet the ever-growing demand of the Hauraki Gulf. So too did long-time quality New Zealand life jacket manufacturer Hutch Wilco come on board as a major Coastguard partner. 2005 saw the Northern Region Maritime School established to provide boaties with the skills to get the best out of their boating safely and with confidence. Howick Volunteer Coastguard in 2007 became the first unit in the region to celebrate 50 years of saving lives. Pretty remarkable. During 2008, the Auckland Regional Amenities Funding Act legislation passed in Parliament, guaranteeing support for the first time from Auckland ratepayers in excess of $600,000 a year. That same year, Foundation North increased its support through a multi-year funding of our capital expenditure program. To date, this long-term partnership has returned over $5 million to our units and infrastructure programs. In early 2009, we achieved a step change for Northland boaties, with the Whangaroa community obtaining its first dedicated rescue vessel and becoming the first on-water crew north of the Bay of Islands. It was that same year that, thanks to funding support in place from AREFA, we were able to make the significant step of moving from 1 to full-time overnight staff members in the Operations Centre, increasing our ability to assist our SAR partners 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Jump into 2010, and we launched the award-winning Suddenly in Charge course, aimed at educating those who spend time out on the water but have limited knowledge of what to do in an emergency. 2011 saw a restructure to align the organisation with a new 5-year vision that saw an enhanced focus on volunteer training and direct unit support. It was a year that also saw the region take ownership of Madeira Rescue from Coastguard Whangarei to be utilised as a relief vessel, deployed around the region as needed, an essential part of our ability to respond to circumstances often beyond our control. Early in 2013, after 75 years of private rescue vessels, Coastguard's last PRV, Kairinea, signed off for the final time. And later that year, we launched the first Coastguard app, putting nowcasting, weather and tides into the pockets of boaties around the country. The Old for New Life Jacket Upgrade campaign was brought to communities in 2014, and to date has seen over 15,000 old or damaged life jackets traded in for a brand new fit-for-purpose life jacket, thanks to our friends at Hutch Wilco, the Giltrap Group, and Maritime New Zealand, who this year increased their support from $80,000 to $110,000, an acknowledgement of the impact this campaign has as a core part of our community engagement strategy. Late in 2014, Coastguard membership hit its biggest milestone yet, rolling out nationwide as the boatie's best mate, now with 35,000 members and growing. Volunteer collaboration came to the fore in 2015, where working with our education team, a new free to the public seminar, Raising the Bar, was born, to help boaties understand the risks when crossing one of the many treacherous harbour bars around the region. The value of this seminar cannot be understated. It was a core part of our response to the tragedy that was the fatal bar crossing of the MV Francie on the Kaipara Harbour the following year, one of the largest maritime disasters in the country. Later in 2015, the extension of our operational capability further north came, with Coastguard Hohora obtaining its first rescue vessel, ensuring our ability to respond beyond North Cape. A proud moment for Coastguard in Aotearoa, enabling us to be there for Kiwis from Cape Reinga to Bluff. In 2016, the Trainee to Operational course was born to answer the need to help fast-track suitable trainee volunteers to operational status through a full-time dedicated training week. The impact of this course is significant. Retention of the volunteers who attended is almost double that of average, and have halved the training time to bring candidates to some of the highest standards ever asked of our volunteer crews. In the last 4 years, we've run 8 courses, and they will no doubt form a core part of our volunteer training for the future. 2018 was a big year with the establishment of our partnership with national telecommunications provider Cordia, enabling flexibility in managing our radio network, as well as the ability to collaborate more effectively with our SAR partners, and was the kickstart of the modernisation of our VHF infrastructure. The year was topped off with the launch of the brand new Coastguard app. 5 years after its predecessor, the Boaties Best Made app launched, meaning boaties can now log a trip report at the click of a finger without even needing to touch the VHF radio, and will allow us to transform our customer experience and technology platforms into the future. Stepping into 2019, and volunteers from our communications, Papakura and Waiuku units made the trip over to the UK as a result of their nomination at the International Maritime Rescue Awards, following an incredibly challenging yet rewarding rescue on the Waikato Bar. They walked away with the People's Choice Award, no small feat and an amazing achievement. Finally, here we are in 2020, and the significant milestone that is Project Horizon, and the bold and bright future that lies ahead for the organisation. These are but some of the highlights from the last 16 years. It is a legacy to be incredibly proud of, and my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for the role that you've played in that. If you'd like a hard copy of the tribute edition of the performance report, including the fold-out timeline, please don't hesitate to get in touch with the team at info@coastguard.nz, and we'll happily get one out to you. To our volunteers and your families who give so much, 121,000 hours is no small feat, and I've never met a more humble bunch of people, but take such pride in witnessing the extraordinary role you play. From being the voice on the end of the radio, to crewing up to head out on one of the rescue vessels, often when other boaties are coming home, taking to the skies in our search aircraft, or providing vital support from the shore. Thank you. Our achievements are only made possible with the support of our incredible partners, who time and time again are seen alongside us in saving lives at sea. Finally, I'm reminded every day of the remarkable role that our volunteers and staff have played throughout our history, both in the delivery of our mission and making us who we are today. I'm left in no doubt of what lies at the very heart of our success for the future. Hei tangata, hei tangata, hei tangata. It is people, it is people, it is people. Kia ora mai, and go well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Georgie, for that comprehensive report. I now formally move that the meeting receive the Chief Executive Report for the year 30th June 2020. Could I please have a seconder with clicking raise hand? Reese Sutton. Thank you, Reese. All in favour, please click with your raised hand. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Georgie will now read the financial report.
Thank you, Wally. The gift that is a financial report. I'm going to take the financial report as read, but touch on the highlights of the period, following which between myself and Philip Harkness, Head of Finance for Coastguard New Zealand, will be happy to take any questions that you may have. Our June 2020 accounts once again delivered in line with the public sector standards and that incorporate the accounts of the Auckland Volunteer Coastguard Trust, who nurture approximately $1.14 million with CNR as the beneficiary. My thanks also to the AMRC Trust for the work that they do in keeping a roof over our heads. We look forward to further developing our relationship in the Trust in the future. A review of the consolidated P&L published in our report shows the cost of providing Coastguard services to the approximate 2 million residents that exist in Northland, Auckland and Waikato regions covered by CNR was $6.2 million. This includes $1.6 million paid to supporting our units and operational costs, $350,000 of investments to recruit and train volunteers and deliver our boating education courses to the public, an investment in people and capability in our operations centre with the need to build the team to meet demand, taking capacity from 4 duty officers to 6, and likewise with our radio operators. A strong targeted spend in marketing and operations resulted in year-on-year savings of $41,000, and the completion of the final milestone payment relating to the VHF infrastructure project is also of note. We posted a small deficit in a challenging period for FY 19-20 of $126,839 after depreciation and amortisation. But excluding the depreciation and amortisation, we've actually posted a surplus of $244,000, 756, I've said that wrong, you'll forgive me later. The organisation's total revenue, including finance income for the period July 19 through to June 20, was $6.7 million, a reduction of $510,000 on the previous year as a result of the COVID-19 impacts and exceptional revenue items in the previous year relating to the final payment of the VHF infrastructure project. Of note in the period was the impact of COVID-19 on donations, public education, gaming trust income and subscriptions. Specifically, a loss of $120,000 relating in fundraising income with the cancellation of the Great New Zealand Shipping Ball. Membership income down 9.5% on budgeted income, and the 7% loss in education income with the cancellation of all face-to-face public education in Q4. These impacts felt by the organisation were less serious than our initial forecast projected. Whilst we initially took the prudent step of successfully applying for the government wage subsidy, we were pleased to be in a position to return this in full. In readiness for Project Horizon, the movement of term deposit funds upon maturity into CNR's working account was to allow for a successful novation process. At the end of FY 19-20, Northern Region's balance sheet remained strong with an equity position of $4,267,558, or 55.7% of assets. CNR held $3.1 million in cash or equivalents, so this keeps us in a strong position. It's with great delight that I can report the successful outcome of discussions with Auckland Council regarding ongoing funding support from Auckland ratepayers, previously received through a RAFA. These conversations have seen a contract signed between Auckland Council and Coastguard New Zealand, covering a 2-year period, with the first instalment of funding already received in our accounts in September this year. It's important to acknowledge the important role that our funding partners play. Without their support, our task would be immeasurably more difficult. To the NZ SAR Council for your ongoing support through the Services Level Agreement, the Lottery Grants Board, Auckland City Council, Northland and Waikato Regional Councils, the long-standing and wonderful partnership that we hold with Foundation North and Coastguard New Zealand. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the support of RSM Hayes Audit, whose guidance and client support throughout the year has remained first class. Steve and Mithin, I know you're with us tonight. Thank you. Any questions on the finance report? We'd be happy to take those now. If you'd like to put them into the question and answer field, we can answer them. Wonderful. There being no questions, I'll hand back to Wally.
Thank you, Georgie. A great result. Thank you so much. Would a financial member formally move that report be received by raise hand? Roger Wicks. Thank you, Roger. Could I have a seconder, please? John McCauley. Thank you, John. Motion is carried. we now, all in favour? Click raise hand. Yay. Motion is carried. We move on. We're now at the point of general business, and I can confirm that we have received items prior to the meeting. If you have an item for general business, please, could I ask that you send this through to us via the Q&A functionality. The first item of business is from the Hauraki Opscom, and Paul Stonekamp is now invited to speak. Paul.
Have I done this right? Can somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Sure can, Paul.
Magic, thank you very much. I was asked by the Hauraki units basically to pass on our thanks to Ray Burge for all the efforts that he's done since he's now moving on to look after the Tasman units and is leaving the Hauraki units. And we thought it was right that Ray's time and effort and enthusiasm was recognised before he moved on. And I think all the units have got examples of where he's been available to them at weekends and over holiday periods and at night and everything else. And I know that us at Cowra, for example, were able to ring him up one weekend when we had found our tubes deflated on the boat, and he was able to come back in minutes with name and phone number of somebody who could help us out and get the tubes back in action again pretty quickly. So all the Hauraki units have had a whip round, and Ray, I assume you can hear me, but there will be a voucher from Kathmandu in your inbox by tomorrow morning, so that you can remember us by buying something for your walking and general tramping at Kathmandu. And every time you put a step forward, you can think of the Hauraki units. And by the way, we've also burnt all the photographs. We haven't passed those on to the Tasman units, so you're quite safe there as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Brilliant. And I can attest to that, those few words of Ray. Raglan has Ray as a special friend. He has attended 13 consecutive Raglan AGMs. Great effort, Ray. I now invite Callum Gillespie, CEO of Coastguard New Zealand, to address the meeting and provide an update on Project Horizon.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Wally. I'd like to take the opportunity to mark this important moment in the history of Coastguard Northern Region, and to thank everyone who has played a role in the remarkable success of CNR over the years. It's been a great privilege to be part of the CNR team for the last 5 years. And on a personal note, I'd like to express my thanks to everyone who gave me their support and advice during my time in the CEO role. CNR was given the best of starts in 2004, being born from a successful Auckland volunteer coastguard, and from that point on has flourished as the result of the expertise and dedication of a broad team of volunteers and staff from across the Northern Region. That hard work and expertise has been applied in governance, management, and operations, and across the different ways in which we keep people safe, through search and rescue, through communications and education. And whatever role you have played in the success of Coastguard's Northern Region, you should have pride and satisfaction. Those would be emotions that are absolutely justified when we look back tonight. A feature of Coastguard Northern's people has been a willingness to adapt, and in March this year, you made the bold decision to move forward again. And since then, the team and I have been working hard to bring that decision to life. As I stepped into my current role at CNZ, it was great to be able to pass the significant responsibility from managing Coast Guard's largest and busiest region into the fabulous hands of Georgie. And I'd like to publicly acknowledge her incredible hard work and tenacity between February and now. She has guided the organisation through a supremely challenging period, and I have learned a lot from watching her. On the 1st of July, we merged the organisations, but really that milestone only marked the midpoint in the implementation of Project Horizon. I can report good progress is being made, despite the challenges of doing so during a pandemic, and we expect all key activities to be completed by Christmas. As we continue to work on the implementation, I hope you can see that we are already working to deliver not only on the mechanics of Project Horizon, but also the benefits. Hopefully you are aware of the fact of the coming together of CNZ's Auckland team in Mechanics Bay, which is already delivering real collaboration and efficiency benefits. Of the recruitment of our newest unit support manager, John. Good evening, John. Doubling the amount of support that Hauraki and Tasman units are now receiving from their unit support managers. And game-changing investments in people, in HR, training, volunteer support, and finance that are already bearing fruit. One of the principal objectives of the simplification of our structure was to accelerate decision-making and strategy delivery. And I'm pleased to say that our new structure is already achieving this. Our highest priority is the delivery of our volunteer strategy, and that mahi is now well underway. Project management and learning development expertise is on board, and we are setting ambitious objectives for the streamlining and modernisation of the training experience. Expect more on this in the weeks ahead and at the CNZ AGM on the 17th of October. But enough from me. Today is about CNR, and I will finish by saying thank you once again to all the amazing volunteers and staff who have given so much to this organisation since 2004. And my promise is that the team and I will do all in our power to build on this region's fine legacy. Kia ora.
Thank you, Callum. I'll take the opportunity also to say a huge thank you to Kira, who has been formative in the incubation of Project Horizon right through the birth. Thank you, Kira. We'll now move on to the awards part of the evening. Evelyn Davis will confer honorary life members.
Thank you, Wally. Good evening, everybody. It is my absolute privilege tonight, on behalf of the CNR board, to nominate two long-serving and energetic members of the CNR board for Coastguard Northern Region Honorary Life Membership. The first person nominated is Wally Hawkin. Wally joined Coastguard Raglan in 2009 and quickly made an impact, becoming unit president in 2010, a role he has held ever since. He was appointed to the CNR board in 2014, and during his 6 years on the board, he has made an incredible contribution to the organisation. In the boardroom, he is known for his level-headed wisdom and for always looking out for the volunteer and the unit. He's also known for applying his strategic lens to any decision. In the period 2014 to 2020, Wally has both led and represented the Tasman Opscom and represented the interests of CNR on the CNZ board. Living in Raglan has required Wally to put in the long hours travelling to and from CNR and CNZ board meetings and Opscoms, an investment he continues to make without a word of complaint. As Vice President, he has offered wise counsel, recognising and giving his strong support to the case for change that resulted in Project Horizon. As is demonstrated tonight, he is always ready, willing and able to step up whenever asked. Our second nominee is Graham Brown. Graham joined Auckland Coastguard in 2005 as a skipper on his own private rescue vessel, the famous Hauraki Hilton. Between 2012 and 2015, he served as President of Auckland Coastguard, and in 2014, Graham was nominated to the board of CNR. Having served as Vice President, Graham took on the role of Coastguard Northern Region President in 2017. In 2018, Graham took on the role of the Northern Region appointee to Coastguard New Zealand Board alongside his regional responsibility. During a 15-year volunteer career with Coastguard, Graham has never shied away from responsibility, and his leadership roles have been characterised by a willingness to tackle difficult issues and to champion change. During his time as President of CNR, he has given his time willingly in support of his CEOs, meeting weekly to offer his experience and to act as a sounding board. As chairman of the CNR board, he has enjoyed the full respect of his board members while encouraging a vigorous board environment. Over the last 18 months, Graham considered and then championed the case for change for a merger of the national body and the regions. Wally and Graham, it has been my absolute pleasure to serve with you on the board of Coastguard CNR board for the past 3 years. And it's my delight to ask members if they could show their support for these 2 nominations for honorary life membership by showing your hands literally, if you like, at home, and digitally, please. And that's fantastic. So our absolute congratulations and thanks to Wally and Graham. Well deserved.
Thank you, Evelyn. Yeah, I am truly humbled. I really am. And a big thank you to my family for their support, and also particularly for the support from you guys in Raglan. Your unit's pretty special. Cheers. We'll now play a video of Graham Brown announcing the President's Award for 2020.
This year, I have great pleasure in presenting the President's Award to Bennett Madeira for the work he has done in supporting the board and management of CNR with regard to the challenges that Bay of Islands faced within their unit. The unit itself also acknowledges this in the submission they made to the regional awards. Bennett spent many hours writing reports, meeting people, mentoring people, and talking to people, along with clocking up many hours of travel to successfully facilitate the changes needed. Congratulations, Bennett. This is truly deserved.
Thank you, Graham, and again, congratulations, Bennett, well deserved. We now introduce the Regional Awards of Excellence. We've had over 30 nominations this year across the categories. And as always, it was very rewarding for our judging team to go through the nominations and see the amazing things that our volunteers have been up to. It was tough to decide winners from a host of deserving nominations. I now call Evelyn and Bennett to announce the winners.
Thank you, Wally. It is our delight to be able to announce these awards this evening, and we're going to kick it off with the Rescue Vessel Volunteer of the Year Award. The Rescue Vessel Volunteer of the Year Award goes to the volunteer who has shown the most initiative, dedication and passion over the course of the year for Coastguard. This year, we received over a dozen nominations for this award, including several for this very deserved winner. The winner for this award is very prominent within her team and has been with the unit for over a decade, putting in over 240 hours last year and on 72 jobs. It isn't unusual for her to attend urgent call-outs, even if another skipper is allocated, giving those on the responding vessel a high level of expertise in tricky situations. Her behind the scenes work, including as unit safety manager and Coast Guard instructor, is extensive. And she's held in high regard by local police, clubs, harbour masters and operators. She often goes above and beyond. After helping rescue a man off a sinking yacht, she took her own time off the next day to revisit the scene and return valuables to the very grateful sailor, even offering him a lift to the shops later on.
For her tireless work and dedication, we're pleased to award Thelma Wilson of Coast Guard Kowau the award of Rescue Vessel Volunteer of the Year. Congratulations, Thelma.
Under this category, we also have a special merit that goes to Graham Allen of Coast Guard Whangarei. Affectionately known as Grumpy, Graham has volunteered with both the Fire Service and Coast Guard for over 40 years. He's the ultimate all-rounder, being a skipper, USO, training officer and a mentor to the team. The origin of his nickname is unknown, but his calm, good-humoured and fair disposition and his extremely capable leadership skills means everyone holds him in high regard. So very well-deserved, Grumpy. Our next award is the Unit Support Volunteer of the Year. This award recognises those who aren't necessarily on the front lines, but who work tirelessly to keep the unit running smoothly. This nominee is a dedicated young man with excellent leadership skills and extensive industry knowledge. He has built the strong foundations of his unit. He's developed SOPs, operational risk matrices, and updated training modules in the last 18 months or so to help pull his unit up from nearly being stood down in 2018. And they are now the strong team that they are today. He's been nominated as chairperson for his team, running unopposed for 2 years, and has done so with diplomacy and an accessible, friendly nature to create a fabulous team culture. His work also enabled the unit to respond to some major incidents, including the search for survivors at Whakaari White Island. A finalist for an industry award, he's also recognised for his contributions within the sector.
A huge congratulations to Josh Hazelmore of Auckland Coast Guard Air Patrol, a very deserving winner for Unit Support Volunteer of the Year.
Our next award is Rescue of the Year. The Rescue of the Year award celebrates an exceptional effort by a team whose results fulfills our mission, saving lives at sea. This year, 2 units take out the award for a complex and challenging rescue in Northland. In December 2019, after a tractor rolled on steep and nearly inaccessible terrain and badly injured 4 people, the teamwork between these 2 units resulted in urgent care being administered as quickly as possible. With ambulance and medics unable to get to the sea by land, with rescue helicopters unable to land or winch, some of the injured pinned by the rolled tractor with severe injuries, and with the tide creeping on in, the situation was extremely dire. The on-water team arrived quickly to the scene and took command, conducting an effective triage and critical first aid for the injured, while managing up-to-the-minute liaison with police, fire and ambulance personnel. Both teams worked together flawlessly and under time pressure to extract and evacuate the injured as quickly as possible. While one of those injured tragically passed away from their injuries, it must be said that had the rescue teams arrived just 10 minutes later, it's highly likely at least 2 more of the injured, who were trapped and literally had water from the incoming tide lapping at their faces, would have also lost their lives.
Congratulations to the teams at Coast Guard Whangaroa and Coast Guard Communications, who both played a vital role in saving the lives of the injured and used their skills and knowledge to undertake a difficult and time-critical rescue.
Again, we also have a special merit to the team at Coastguard Raglan. This team were tasked to assist 2 kayakers who got into trouble at sea off Madeira in June this year. They'd set out in calm weather, but the conditions deteriorated quickly, sweeping them 8 kilometres out to sea. The conditions got so rough that rescue helicopters couldn't help, and radio reception was at times non-existent. Great crew resource management, navigation, and search techniques by the 6 crew aboard Gallagher Rescue resulted in the 2 kayakers being pulled from the dark and stormy water at about 9:15 that evening. The Raglan team also arranged for hot pizza and soup to be waiting for the grateful survivors, an extra step that really highlights their dedication to our mission. A textbook rescue by an experienced crew, and thank you very much, Raglan team. The next award is Unit of the Year. The Unit of the Year award was a tough one to judge, with so many deserving nominations. This winning team dedicated over 6,000 man-hours of volunteer effort, including 1,172 dedicated to crew training alone, with fantastic engagement in the community, taking the public out on bar crossing days at least twice a year, and great volunteer recruitment efforts. So many people applied, the team had to put on hold any new applications. This busy and vital team has made some great strides in the past year. It's also testament to the team's hard work and sloth that this team has become the first unit nationally to be accredited with Maritime New Zealand Rescue Watercraft operational status. The procedures they've put together for rescue watercraft are very comprehensive and will likely be templated nationwide.
Congratulations to the high-performing team of Coastguard Raglan for winning the Unit of the Year.
A special merit also goes to the team at Auckland Air Patrol. With one of the region's largest search areas to cover, the unit has moved from strength to strength in the last 12 months, with significant improvements in the unit's culture to create a much more vibrant and open environment. They've also developed, formalised and implemented new SOPs that have added the hurdle of meeting Civil Aviation Authority regulations. They've been doing such a good job that they've been lauded by the CAA for their contribution to safety within the New Zealand aviation community. Congratulations, team. Our last award is the Dr. John Taylor Volunteer of the Year. This award is selected from the pool of individual nominees, and our judges were unanimous in their decision. The award, which is sponsored in the name of the late Dr. John Taylor, a long-time Coastguard volunteer and contributor, recognises the outstanding work of a singular person in the previous financial year. Our chosen Volunteer of the Year has displayed tireless energy, has helped turn around the fortunes of his unit, has inspired and mentored his team, has put in countless hours ensuring compliance to rigorous SOPs, has been a finalist in a National Industry Award, among many other achievements. But mostly, he has contributed to building a better and safer Coastguard, all with humour, diplomacy and good grace.
And it's our absolute pleasure to announce the winner of Coastguard Northern Region Volunteer of the Year, Josh Hazelmore. Congratulations, Josh.
So our very, very many congratulations to all of our winners, and we look forward to sharing and celebrating with you at local unit events. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Evelyn and Bennett. We have a radio call to play.
Coastguard Radio, Coastguard Radio. This is Coastguard Northern Region.
Coastguard Northern Region, Coastguard Radio. Go ahead, please.
Roger Coastguard, we are now safely back at base after our 16-year journey. Thank you for your watch.
Northern Region, you are most welcome. To every volunteer, every staff member and every supporter that has been part of the journey, thank you.
Thank you, Coastguard. Here's it to an exciting future ahead.
Coastguard Northern Region, out.
It's a great call and timely. In closing, I would like to afford a very special thank you to our technical staff up here at the AMRC. They've done an amazing job to get this presentation to you guys in the manner that they have. A round of applause, please. Also, I'd like to extend my personal thank you to the CNR board for your leadership, professionalism, enthusiasm, and dedication in delivering hugely successful and highly performing results. You're a pretty special team. Thank you. A big thank you to the CNR staff for your sterling effort, your patience and support over many, many, many years. CNZ is to inherit an exemplary team. Cheers. Well, there we have it, folks. Time for us to sign off one last time. There being no further business, I hereby declare this 2020 AGM to a close at 8:06. Thank you, and thank you for your attendance.